You've probably done it too. Edited your words before speaking, laughed when you didn't feel like it, or nodded along just to avoid conflict. Maybe you even change how you dress, how you talk, or what you share online just to fit in. But have you ever stopped to ask, who are you when no one's watching? There's a hidden fear that lives inside so many of us, a fear more powerful than failure, more paralyzing than rejection. It's the fear of being truly seen, not the version of you that the world accepts, but the messy, raw, unfiltered you that you are terrified to reveal. But where does this fear come from? And how much of your life is it quietly controlling? In a world obsessed with appearances, many of us hide behind carefully constructed identities. We become performers, scripting our words, monitoring our emotions, and second-guessing our instincts. And the scariest part? We get so good at pretending that we forget who we really are. This fear of being seen isn't about stage fright. It's about emotional exposure. It's about the terror of letting someone witness the unedited version of us. And if you've ever felt unseen, unheard, or misunderstood, it's not your fault, but it may be time to understand where that fear comes from and what it's really costing you. This fear often starts early. Think back to when you were a child. Were you allowed to express anger, sadness, fear, or were you told to calm down and toughen up or stop being dramatic? Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, and it teaches kids that their natural feelings are wrong or too much. Over time, you learn to suppress them, to be more palatable, more agreeable, more acceptable. Children raised in environments with conditional love, where praise and affection are given only when they behave a certain way, grow up believing their real self isn't worthy. Studies show this kind of upbringing leads to chronic people-pleasing, perfectionism, and shame. By the time we hit our teens, we've already started wearing masks, the overachiever, the class clown, the chill one who never causes drama. These aren't just roles, they're survival strategies. We use them to avoid judgment, rejection, or disappointment. But the longer we wear them, the more we lose touch with who we really are. This phenomenon is called social masking, and it's been widely studied in psychology, particularly among those with social anxiety, trauma, and neurodivergence. According to Verywell Mind, long-term masking can lead to depression, burnout, and identity confusion. It's not just emotionally exhausting, it's soul-crushing. Why is it so terrifying to show our real selves? Because being seen is vulnerable. It means letting people witness your flaws, your doubts, your scars. And if they reject that version of you, it hurts far more than if they rejected the fake version. This fear is linked to something called the fear of negative evaluation, a psychological pattern where you're constantly anticipating disapproval from others. It's a core trait of social anxiety. It also ties into the concept of the imaginary audience, a belief that everyone is watching and judging you. This cognitive bias is especially common in adolescence, but it lingers into adulthood for many of us. When you spend your life hiding, the consequences are invisible at first, but over time they surface. You start feeling disconnected from others, even those closest to you. You feel unseen, misunderstood, and emotionally distant. You might succeed on the outside, good job, nice relationships, but still feel hollow inside. Because deep connection doesn't come from performance, it comes from presence. Studies show that chronic self-censorship increases stress, lowers self-esteem, and leads to internal conflict. You become a stranger in your own life. Eventually, many people hit a breaking point, a burnout, a breakdown, a crisis of identity. They realize they've been playing a role for so long, they don't know who they are underneath. And often, the first step to healing is terrifying, taking off the mask. This is where true transformation begins, not in becoming someone new, but in unlearning who you were taught to be. So how do you start showing your true self? It begins with tiny acts of honesty, saying no when you mean it, sharing your real opinion, asking for help, letting yourself cry without shame. Therapists recommend radical self-acceptance, the idea that you are worthy even when you're not performing, fixing, or pleasing anyone. Mindfulness practices help reconnect you to your body. Journaling lets you hear your own voice again. And relationships where you feel safe, where your honesty is met with care, become the soil for your growth. It's not about being fearless, it's about being brave enough to be real. I know how hard it is to be real in a world that constantly rewards the fake. I know what it feels like to be terrified that if you show people the real you, Your messy parts, your insecurities, your past, they'll run. I know that silence sometimes feels safer than truth, that blending in feels easier than standing out, and that hiding becomes second nature when you've been hurt enough times for simply existing. But I want you to hear this like it's coming from someone who truly sees you. You don't have to keep hiding. You don't have to exhaust yourself trying to be the version of you that you think the world wants. The world needs the real you. Your quirks, your depth, your voice, your weirdness, the parts you've kept tucked away for so long, they're not shameful, they're sacred, and I get it. It's going to feel uncomfortable at first, maybe even painful. But the right people won't just tolerate your truth, they'll cherish it. They'll lean in closer, not walk away, and most importantly, you will finally feel peace, not from being accepted by others, but by finally accepting yourself. So start small. Let one part of the mask slip. Speak your truth just once. Let someone in. Not because you owe it to anyone else, but because you deserve to feel free. You've spent enough time hiding. It's time to come home to yourself.